Hello, Fit Me family. The kickoff message for the week is going to be one of my favorite topics. We are going to talk about the scale. We're going to talk about why the scale fluctuates, so that you can understand how to utilize this as a tool if you want to, and what those numbers actually mean. So first off, one of the biggest things that people get frustrated about is while they're quote, on track or following their plan or sticking with things, they see fluctuations in the scale. It doesn't go on this downward trend, even if you're doing everything right. There's some ups, there's some downs. And then what do you make of that? Because if you live and die by the scale, then you might get on it feeling pretty great in the morning, see the number, feel disappointed, and then it could throw your whole day off. We're really giving quite a lot of power to this one particular tool without even understanding it. And so one of my favorite things to do as a coach is to kind of peel back the layers on the scale and explain what's happening here. Because really at the end of the day, what we're looking for is a trend over time. If you are on a weight loss season, so you are intentionally doing things to create body fat loss, you want to see over time that number on the scale go down. Well, what we actually need to look at is a trend rather than a specific day-to-day variation. So what I mean is, if we look at 6 months ago and we look at today, and you were to track your weight every single day and you just look at it from far back, what would that look like? Would it look like a straight line? Would it look like the lines going up? Would it look like the lines going down? Again, sort of getting a big picture view of the trend rather than the individual fluctuations. But on a day-to-day basis, we might get on the scale and we need to know why or why not it might be changing. So first off, one of the biggest impactors on the scale is water retention. And this is going to actually be a crossover into all of the other categories. But the human body is about 60% water. So fluctuations in water retention can actually significantly impact your weight. So if you're consuming more salts, carbohydrates, you're dehydrated, and sometimes medications can actually lead to increased water retention. Conversely, maybe even starting a new program can actually let you release some water weight. Actually, a lot of programs take advantage of this, and it's good if you tell people what's happening. You're like, hey, you're going to lose some water weight this week. But they can also kind of trick people into thinking it's fat loss, because you could see 3 to 5 pounds of water retention go away in a given week if you start a particular kind of program. And that can be confusing with fat loss. But water weight can impact your scale. And does that mean that you can never have salt or carbs, or that one day you might not get dehydrated? No, these are fluctuations, right? It's not actually impacting what you want when you think about it. Now, we don't want to be bloated and swollen. So there is a certain amount of water retention that we don't want, right? You can sometimes feel it in your fingers and in your face. And if you're retaining water, that doesn't feel that great. But normal fluctuations in water retention is 100% A-okay. The other reason that the scale may or may not be showing what you want is if you are incorporating strength training into your routine, you actually might be gaining muscle while losing fat. And again, this is not made up to make you feel better. Muscle weighs the same as fat. Okay. So 1 pound of muscle weighs exactly the same as 1 pound of fat, but it's denser, which means it takes up less space. So if the scale isn't moving, but your clothes are fitting different, that's a really great sign that you're actually seeing muscle being added to your body at the same time that fat is going away. Now, you can also add muscle and not lose fat, and that means the scale might go up. This is something called like a bulk, right? At the end of the day, when we want to rapidly add muscle, it's actually kind of difficult to lose fat. So you can add muscle and not lose fat. And that might be something to look at if you're saying, hey, the scale's actually going up. I'm doing this strength training. It doesn't look like I can't see that muscle any better, but I know I'm getting stronger. It might be because you don't have things quite dialed in for fat loss. So again, muscle gain can impact what you see on the scale. Here's another one that it sounds obvious, but a lot of people forget this. The digestive contents that are in your body actually impact the scale. If you eat a gigantic dinner and you have not gone to the bathroom, like a number 2, it is going to show up on the scale. It did not disappear. So if you have a big dinner and you get on the scale in the morning, you're going to see it there. Similarly, if you've gone to the bathroom versus not, you are actually going to see that show up on the scale. So again, that's just something to take into account. If you're constipated, the scale is going to go up for obvious reasons. So this is just, again, something important. It doesn't mean you don't have a big meal. It just means you don't freak out when you get on the scale and it might be up a pound or 2 after you had a really big dinner. Maybe all of your food kind of got pushed to the evening. It's not the end of the world, but guess what? The scale is not going to be lower tomorrow. It's not likely. So just know that digestive contents actually impact the scale. Another scale impactor, and you definitely know this one, I'm sure, as a woman, is hormonal fluctuations. So depending on the time of the month, women actually retain more water in their body. And so this is just a thing, right? When you say, I feel bloated, or I feel blood, swollen, none of my clothes are fitting good, you're retaining water. You didn't put on body fat, but your hormones have told your body to retain water. And so that can happen, and that will impact what you see on the scale. Another impactor on the scale, or something that you might notice, is that it is actually normal to hit a plateau when you are in a long-term weight loss journey. So if you have a goal that is more than 20 pounds, it can be very typical for the body to stop losing weight for a period of time and sort of stabilize and then start losing again. Super normal. Again, the more weight you have to lose, the more common a plateau will be, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong. And so another impactor on the scale can be exercise. So if you are exercising and you are seeing like your muscles are sore, you might actually see water retention. If you're doing a lot of super sweaty exercise and you're not super sore, you might see the scale go down because you've lost water, right? Now, exercise is awesome. We need it for our body for a number of reasons, but it will impact the scale on a day-to-day. If I do a really hard leg workout, my body weight is up a couple of pounds for a few days because my legs retain water to deal with the sore muscles. Another thing that can impact the scale is when you get on it. So when you get on it, if you are going to use the scale as a tool, it needs to be something that you do at the same time of day, every day, with sort of similar circumstances. So that means like best case scenario is right after you wake up and after you've gone to the bathroom, you get on the scale with no clothes on. That's going to give you a consistent measurement timing. So we're not having food be a factor. We're not having those other, we're not having clothes be a factor. Even the bathroom, can be a factor going to the bathroom. So that's going to give you the most consistent measurement timing. But if you get on in the morning and then you get on in the evening, you're like, oh my God, I gained 4 pounds. You did not gain 4 pounds. Like that's not a thing. But the scale is showing that you are 4 pounds heavier in the afternoon. That's true. It's not like made up, but you didn't gain 4 pounds of body fat, right? Like what we have to understand is the scale is not the decider of whether or not you lost or gained body fat. And ultimately, when we say we want to lose weight, that's what we're talking about. We want to lose extra stored body fat, and we want that to show up on the scale. But we need to remember that our body fluctuates for all of these different reasons, and the trend over time is what's really important. So another factor that can impact the scale is actual scale accuracy. So sometimes people have scales that have been from, 1972, and it might be time to get rid of that joker. If it reads one thing one day and 17 pounds heavier the next day, it is broken. It's time for a new scale. You don't even use it when you like the answer, right? Like I know people who keep broken scales because sometimes it tells them what they want to see. That's so silly, right? But time to get rid of the scale. If you're going to use it, get an accurate one. They're pretty cheap. You can get them at Target, Walmart, Amazon, whatever. The last couple I think are kind of tied together. Stress, inflammation, and alcohol. So all of these can dramatically impact the scale, but they can also impact your ability to lose weight. So if you are seeing extra stress and it's impacting your sleep, the scale will be up. And if that is your life, then you might even have it impact your life long-term. The scale might stay up and trend up. Same thing with alcohol. Funny thing about alcohol is everybody's a little bit unique. It usually dehydrates you at first, so the scale might go down, but then you usually see a bounce back and it's higher. My typical rule of thumb is for every 1 day that you spend drinking, you're going to need 3 days for the scale to level out. So if you had a really fun, super crazy Saturday, well, guess what? Don't even worry about the scale until Wednesday, because Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are basically just your body dealing with it. And then last but not least, and this is tied to food, alcohol, workouts, stress, all of it is inflammation. You can have inflammation in your body due to physical activity, due to food, due to sickness, due to stress, and inflammation will show up on the scale. And a lot of people experience inflammation from travel. There's just nothing they can do about it. They see it show up. So it's not necessarily something that's awful, but if you experience chronic inflammation, then it is something you want to address, because your body does not like to be inflamed chronically. Can you imagine if you had a scratch on your arm and it was all red and inflamed and you just kept irritating it over and over and over again? Like that would be bad. That's what we're talking about, but inside of your body. We're talking about the system of your body. Systemic inflammation is not great. We need to let our body clear that inflammation and heal. And so if you're consuming foods that don't work for you, that your body does not like, if you are if you're drinking a lot, if you're over exercising, this can lead to chronic inflammation and actually hurt your body in the long run, and certainly will impact the scale. And so remember, the scale is just one piece of the big picture. It can be a very helpful tool, but only if you understand why it fluctuates on a day-to-day and what we're looking for in the long run. Again, if you have body weight to lose, if you have body fat to lose, we're looking for a downward trend over time. And then when you get to where you want to be, we're actually looking for a stable trend, right? Nobody ever talks about that, but let's get to a stable weight where, again, it will fluctuate day to day. It does not mean you gained fat. And I think this always has come into conversation during post vacation or post, 2-day barbecue situation. And you're like, holy crap, I gained 6 pounds. You definitely did not. Like, you did not gain 6 pounds of fat over the weekend. Not possible. You do have inflammation from drinking. You are retaining water. You did eat a ton of food and you didn't sleep well. So guess what? The scale is up 6 pounds. You're right, but it's not up forever as long as you get back to business and get to doing what you're doing. But if you understand that, it can impact you less. So you'll get back to business faster. You'll be like, you're right. Monday, rock solid. Let's get back to it. Tuesday, rock solid. All of that great stuff. But if you're like, oh my God, I gained 6 pounds of fat, I ruined all my progress, you might not get back on track. So it's very important that you understand what these fluctuations mean and what can impact them. So let us know if you need anything. If the scale is a helpful tool for you, now you know how to use it. And I hope this was helpful. Talk to you later. Bye.